What's going on, everybody out there in the YouTube trucking community? Sean Cahalan, Christian Brother Trucker, coming at you again with a video. I'm on a roll now. I'm going to start making videos a lot more often. I got a brand new phone, and it works a lot better than my iPhone. Android. Of course, you know, my old iPhone was one of those iPhones that came out when they first came out with 5G, so it never really quite worked very well on 5G. But my new phone with T-Mobile is working way better than my iPhone ever did. So the topic of this video is, why does everybody talk about Swift? I've been asked to do a video on this. I was asked a long time ago to make a video on it, and I never did, and then I was asked again to make a video about it, and so I decided, okay, I'll make a video about it. So why does everybody always bash on Swift, and why does everybody talk about Swift? And the answer is quite simple. It's because Swift is the largest truck company in North America. So, you know, when you have 20,000 to 25,000 trucks and 50,000 trailers, the saturation within the country is going to be, you're everywhere. You know, your Swift trucks are everywhere. You see them everywhere. And so when you have that many drivers out there getting into accidents, the more prevalent, what you're going to notice more often with more drivers on the road getting into accidents is going to be Swift, the biggest company, right? So there's a couple of things that I think could lead up to this. It could be because Swift is such an old company too. They've been around for a very long time. But they've been a training company for as long as I can remember. I came into trucking way back in 2008, and back then they were doing a truck driving school and having new drivers on the road. So I don't know how long they've been training drivers, but I know it's been a long time. And there was so I grew up in the Northwest. And up in the Northwest, Swift has a couple of terminals up in Seattle and Lewiston, Idaho. Well, it gets pretty gnarly up there in the Northwest in the wintertime. And so a lot of Swift drivers would be fairly new, and then they would get out there in the wintertime and not really know what they're doing, and so they'd end up sliding off the road, or they would end up getting into accidents and whatnot. Now, I'm going to say something that might be a little bit controversial to a lot of people, but no matter the truck company, it doesn't matter. They have accidents. When I was at Doug Andrews Distributing, there was truck accidents. There were drivers that were dying on the road. It happens with every company. I think that it just so happens that Swift, being the largest company out there, who's been training drivers, you're going to have more of a prevalence, and it's going to get noticed a lot more. Plus, you know, I guess they just kind of got on the radar and got a bad reputation for a long time. But Swift has really come a long ways since the merger between Knight and Swift. And they've really done a lot to get their safety scores up. And they've also renovated a lot of their terminals. Their facilities are starting to get a lot nicer. And they're starting to upgrade. Slowly but surely, they are investing more money into nicer equipment and higher quality drivers. Now, with that being said, Swift does a hair follicle screening, which is not required by the DOT, but they go ahead and do it anyway because it gives them a more accurate drug history, right? And Knight does that as well. And I think that when Knight and Swift merged together, Knight changed some of the policies as far as driver qualification. So Swift did become quite a bit more selective when it comes to driver selection and history, and especially with drug history and things like that. So they're making positive changes, and you know, I gotta say that they're a completely different company than what they used to be. There are certain things that they need to work on and improve on, but that's any company. I mean, every company is going to focus on different things, right? But that's why. The reason why everybody talks about Swift, and the reason why Swift got its bad reputation, was because they're the biggest and they're a training company. And I think that Swift in this country has probably trained more drivers than any other company, or even multiple companies combined. So that's speculation. I don't know that, but I can just tell you that they hire and train a lot of drivers. And so, you know, when you have a lot of drivers that are new, they're going to make mistakes. I made mistakes. You've made mistakes, most likely. If you would admit to it, you know, we don't always want to admit to our mistakes, right? But my first over-the-road job was with CR England. And yeah, I got stuck in the mud in some dude's field because I was trying to turn around. Something I'm not proud of at all. You know, I've taken wrong turns. I've had to back up and turn around. I've had to, well, shoot, I think when my first couple of years, I think I took out a power pole with a flatbed. You know, so we've all had these little bumps and scrapes along the way, and it's not something that we're proud of. And for me, I don't hide the fact that I've learned my lessons and have learned things the hard way and things like that. And so I try to make videos to help people avoid the mistakes by training and educating people so that they don't make those kind of mistakes. And if you go back into my other videos that I make, I do just that. I have certain videos talking about certain topics that can help reduce accidents and incidents out there on the road. But yeah, that's why Swift has the reputation that they have. I think a lot of it had to do with, you know, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, we didn't have GPS. We didn't have the ability to look up Google Earth. We didn't have the ability to be able to see what we're driving into before we get to the shipper, receiver, or whatever the case may be, or truck stop. And so a lot of drivers would take a wrong turn, or they try to turn around in the wrong neighborhood. But it's not something that is, you know, majority of Swift. It's, you know, Swift doesn't produce bad drivers. These mistakes happen with all kinds of different companies. And I'll tell you what, when I drive down the highway in Wyoming in the wintertime, I don't see Swift trailers in the ditch. What I see in the ditch are these fly-by-night companies, and, you know, a lot of them are independent contractors pulling Amazon trailers or FedEx trailers, or, you know, I see all kinds of different trucks in the ditch. And so, I mean, if I noticed a majority of Swift trailers or Swift trucks going off the road all the time, I would say so, but you just don't see it. And, you know, if you doubt that, then when you're driving down the road, take a look around at the truck accidents that you see. A lot of them aren't Swift drivers anymore. Was that true years ago? Yeah, probably. I don't really think so, but I don't know. I think that also the name Swift is like, yeah, that's a Swift move, you know. It just kind of rolls off the tongue, and so I don't know why Swift got picked to be that company. They just did. But again, I think it's just because they're the biggest and they're a training company. So that's about as simple of terms as I can put it into. I think that's the reason why. So if you like this video, please like and subscribe and share. And as always, thanks for watching, and God bless you all.